I had all my notes written out for this case, and I thought, I'm gonna wait to record this video because I know there's going to be updates. And sure enough, there is. So, that was the right move.
Negative K, nothing further, just city camp in the corner. We've got a code 187. Officers on the scene.
Some of my content has mention of extreme violence, sexual assault, and or other triggering content. Discretion is advised. Hi guys, how are you? And welcome back to my channel, Code 187. It's a true crime channel, and we talk about pretty much everything true crime. So if that's what you love, that's why you're here. Hello, how are we today? I'm sure you guys have heard of the case that I'm going to talk about today because it is everywhere. I have heard about it for a long time since it happened, but I was holding off, like I said, because I knew there was going to be updates in this case. You can't run for long when you're on camera committing the crime. So I held off and it paid off. So we have some major updates in this case. So let's dive in. So the night in question here is Saturday, April 16th, 2022, and this happened in Queens, New York. So the next morning, that Sunday, a man was walking his dogs, and I'm telling you, dogs are crime fighters. There's always a dog that finds out things, and his dogs were just pulling him to this certain spot. And so he was like, all right, we'll follow and we'll see what happens. And he comes across a huge hockey bag, and the dogs are just sniffing around it, and he's like, well, I guess I'll open it. He opens it, and what he thinks he finds is a mannequin. It's never a mannequin. He thinks that it is this big mannequin or big doll. He keeps searching, and that's when he sees that this was human remains. So he calls 911, and his dogs are still leading him. And he's like, I guess we'll just see where this takes me. So the dogs lead him down a blood trail to the house in question. And he's like, okay, I just randomly found all of this. So the cops are called and they start their investigation. So what they find in that duffel bag is a woman's body in the fetal position, and they later identify her as Orsolya Gaal. This is a Queens mother, and they see that she was brutally murdered. So they try to start finding out more about their victim, and what they find out was that this woman was home alone with her son on the day in question. Her husband and her other son were out of town, and so the house was semi-empty. When they questioned the husband says that he got a strange text the night before, basically saying, your whole family is next. It also said, your wife sent me to jail some years ago when you were living near Austin Street in Forest Hills. I'm back. Don't call the police or I will kill your whole family. Now, to police, this text message is definitely key. And they're like, what is going on here? So they try to investigate, but they don't really find much connecting why Orsolya would have this connection to this man years ago. They do, however, find out that what happened was that she was killed in the basement and then moved in that duffel bag to where that man found her with his dogs, kind of on the side of the road. And that duffel bag was a sports bag from her son's, and she was definitely killed in the basement because they do find a murder weapon. They also found a very incriminating video of a man basically dragging the duffel bag down the street. They released the video to the public, and we see this pictures, we see stills of this man dragging this duffel bag, and we know that this woman is inside. It is terrifying. What we find out from this autopsy is that she was stabbed over 60 times. This was a very bloody, very brutal, very hate-filled crime. And we find out that she was stabbed in the neck, in the hands, on her fingers. I mean, she's stabbed everywhere, and she was trying to fight back. So the investigation kind of went in a weird place. Of course, you always think it's the husband, so he was questioned a lot. But he had the alibi of being out of town. Now, a lot of people went to the fact that maybe he hired someone to carry out this attack, but there was no evidence of such. So police also turned to the 13-year-old son who was inside the house. It was a little hard to believe that his mother was brutally murdered while he was upstairs and he didn't hear anything. The 13-year-old was, of course, let go. It was not him. I don't know how he didn't hear anything, but maybe he had music on. Maybe, I mean, this was a huge house. Maybe he just didn't hear it. They did say that Orsolya, she knew her killer. This was an attack that it was brutal and it was hate-filled, but somehow she knew this person. So they started looking everywhere. This is where we get our update, and that was April 21st, 2022, and that was literally yesterday. And there was a news conference, and there was pictures released saying that they had found their guy. And what we found out about this is that she definitely knew this man. She had been carrying on a relationship with this guy off and on. He was their maintenance guy for their house, and he had been around the house for 2 years. He knew where she kept the spare key. He knew how to get into the house, and this attack happened because he was mad at her. So he was brought in on charges of murder, criminal tampering, and criminal possession of a weapon. They believe that the text message that the husband got was bogus. It was basically to throw the police off, and the whole time it was this maintenance man. He was having an affair with her, and he wanted her, and he had to have her, and I don't know if there was a fight or what happened, but he killed her and drug her body in a duffel bag to where we found it. Now that police have their guy, we know what happened and we can proceed to get justice for this woman. This is what drives me insane about this case, and what makes me so angry is that the media is not portraying this woman in a very nice way. Basically, they're calling her a cheater. They're basically saying she brought this on herself because she was having an affair, and they're just dragging her name through the mud. And it's disgusting because it does not matter. If she was cheating, that is, one thing. It's between kind of her and her husband on what they were going to do about that. But no one deserves to be murdered. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. No one deserves to be murdered. And they're painting her out to not be a victim, but being the cause of her own death. This guy didn't have to murder her. He could have went on with his life. Her and her husband could have gotten a divorce or whatever they were going to do. It didn't need to result in murder. So let's please not drag this woman through the mud in the media, because it is not her fault that she was murdered. I'm just saying it drives me absolutely insane to see that. I hate victim blaming, and I hate that this is what this woman's death has come to. Any way you slice it, Orsolya was a person. So there is a number if you have any information listed below, but the police are on it. We have him now. We're gonna nab him, we're gonna get him. I think there's enough evidence in this case. So if you have any information, there will be a number posted below, but I think we're gonna get justice. So I don't know about you guys, but I see a lot of news. I see a lot of true crime cases come up on my feed on Facebook and just everywhere on my social media. And I kind of simultaneously saw Orsolya's case right next to this other case that had some doorbell footage. So it kind of went along with the same theme. And for me, the first little while, I kind of got these two mixed up. I thought that this footage of this case was from Orsolya's, but it is not. This is a whole nother case, and it is the case of Xavier Antonio Johnson. This case is also very recent. It happened on April 13th, 2022 in Davenport, Florida. Sadly, Xavier was fatally shot during a drug transaction in an Air B&B that him and his friends had rented. There is a lot of footage in this case because there was a doorbell with doorbell footage right outside of the Airbnb. So we see these three guys arrive together, and then we only see two leaving. And by leaving, I mean that they were running from the Airbnb. Now, this was a huge operation. These men had been basically drug trafficking out of this house since April 8th, 2022, and they had this operation going. Around 8:30 on April 13th, some men entered the house and basically shot our victim. Then we got this crazy video footage of three men carrying Xavier out of the house. After he was shot, most likely after he was dead, we see them literally hoisting him up, and we see him being carried and then being set down because they were exhausted from carrying him, and then they pick him up and they keep going. We literally see them transporting a body out of their Airbnb. Now, thankfully, from tips from the community, we did identify at least one of the men in the footage. It is a very clear footage, but we are working really hard to identify the other two men, or at least another man that was seen in the video. They are seeking the public's help to find this possibly white, possibly Hispanic man seen in this footage. I will put in the description box below where you can submit tips. They're calling to the public because this male has yet to be identified. So basically, these men take Xavier to the hospital and basically drop him off. Over Easter weekend, they did identify 29-year-old Justin Jenkins, and they arrested him for first-degree murder. This guy has a long list of criminal charges. He has 35 previous felonies and 20 previous misdemeanors. So this guy is a very bad guy, and he is behind bars. That is the case of Xavier. It's very sad to see this footage, and it's so weird that Orsolya's and Xavier's case were so close together. I think we are going to see more and more footage cases like this. I mean, there are cameras everywhere. And as we've seen in cases before, you cannot hide. You're going to get found out. So those are my two cases today. I know that people are going to say, you know, Orsolya was cheating and Xavier was drug trafficking. I get that. But as I said before, no one deserves to be murdered. And I definitely want justice in both of these cases. It just is what it is. Thank you guys so much for listening to both of these stories today. This video might be a little bit shorter, a little bit more compact, but it is because both of these cases don't have a ton of information, but they do have enough to report on, and they're definitely enough to be important. If you guys like my videos, please consider subscribing, because if you subscribe, you can get notifications when I post a video. I post videos like this. I also have a podcast with my co-host Joe, and we talk about true crime over there. It is getting really, really good. So please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, just to help me out. We are growing, and it is just so exciting, and I cannot thank you guys enough. I know that Bailey Sarian always says, like, oh, without you guys, I wouldn't be here. I would still be here. No one would be listening. So I thank you guys for listening and being here with me and sharing the love for the victims in these cases. And I will see you guys next time with another story. Bye. By the way, the desk behind me was a DIY project that I did the other night. If you want to see some footage from that, you can go to my social media. I love it. I did a really good job. Sometimes the media, it's a love-hate relationship. Mostly hate at this point. Hi guys, I just wanted to say I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like any of the content for Code 187, please click that subscribe button, that like button, that share button. Help us out, help us grow. You can find us on your favorite podcast platforms. Yeah, check us out on there. Give us some ratings. Tell us what you think. We're also across every social media on Code 187. So we're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I think that's it. And of course, YouTube. So please, please, please subscribe if you like our content and spread the word. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.